And welcome back to the show. I'm Joe Concha along with my co-host, Rick Unger, Carl Higbee, Lisa Janovitz. Well, this isn't the headline a potential 2016 contender is looking for. Indictments and a guilty plea involving former aides and allies in Newark Federal Court in New Jersey today. David Wildstein, a former ally of Governor Christie, admitted his role in the Bridgegate Scandal, saying he was part of a plot to close entrance lanes to the George Washington Bridge in September of 2013 to intentionally cause massive traffic backups in Fort Lee, New Jersey. Trust me, I live 15 minutes from there. You don't have to close down anything to get massive traffic backups in Fort Lee, New Jersey, but this made it 10 times worse. Waldstein says it was all in retaliation against the mayor because he wouldn't endorse Mr. Christie's re-election bid.
You can't undo what was done, but what he has done to date, and that is to plead guilty and to fully cooperate with the United States Attorney's Office, should shed truth on what occurred during the course of that week, what led to the events, and what ensued thereafter.
Wildstein is facing 2 years in prison. Also today, former Christie Deputy Chief of Staff, Bridget Kelly of Ramsey, New Jersey, and former Christie Port Authority appointee, Bill Baroni, were indicted. They're accused of misusing public resources for political gain. Kelly's lawyer says there's no evidence the lane closures were part of some sort of political retribution. Christie was not publicly implicated in any wrongdoing and appears to be in the clear, at least for now. And in a statement, Christie claimed vindication, saying, quote, "Today's charges make clear what I've said from day one is true. I had no acknowledgement or knowledge of involvement in the planning or the execution of this act." But David Wildstein's lawyer is standing by his earlier claim, disputing Christie's denial.
Mr. Christie knew of the lane closures while they were occurring, and evidence exists to establish that. That is as much as I can say, and as much as I will say at this time.
Well, at least he provided some details around that. Some of Christie's foes have suggested that even if there was no direct role in the plot, he created a culture that led to members of his administration to think they could get away with such tactics, including murder. Rick, do you agree? You think Wildstein cut a deal for starter? I heard.
Well, you know, I was listening to the speech, and there should have been subtitles that says, translation, I cut a deal. I gave up Kelly, I gave up Baroni, and I may have given up the governor. We'll wait and see. Of course he cut a deal. He cut a deal for leniency in the sentencing. The Baroni and Kelly charges were pretty intense. Conspiracy against civil rights, deprivation of civil rights, wire fraud, conspiracy to intentionally misapply property of an organization receiving federal benefits. I mean, they're not kidding around. The question is, with that little teaser that Wildstein dropped, is there an indictment coming against the governor?
Well, the other thing is also there are other conspirators. Paul Fishman had said there were other conspirators the investigation found that were not named and were not indicted. Why? They're supposed to be named at a later date.
They probably cooperated.
Carl, even if Chris Christie isn't indicted in any way, he is in the clear and nothing happens. Right. He went from being the guy who could absolutely beat Hillary Clinton, at least at the polls showed at the time, to he's dead weight. He can't run. I keep hearing, no, he's got a chance. I'm sorry. He's at 38 approve in New Jersey, 56 disapprove. Remember, when he was reelected, he got 61% of the vote in a blue state. Right. So to drop like that, it doesn't matter. No one believes that he didn't have some sort of role in this, and that's that.
Right. I mean, nothing happens on this magnitude without him knowing about it. And to your point, he can't win the presidency. Okay, so I think that he should not even be looking at it at this point, because there's so many contenders in the race, and especially with any little bit of scandal, the Democrats are going to just hammer this home. Yeah. So this is dead in the water.
And Rick, he didn't have a lot of allies in the first place. In other words, he's another northeastern governor, Romney, maybe a little moderate on social issues. So he had no margin for error.
It was going to be tough, but what I always found fascinating about the entire Bridgegate scenario, look, you can see this happening. It was a joke. They didn't think that it could ever blow up into this. Hey, this is a funny idea. Why don't we block traffic up for a day or two to get even with that SOB? You can see the governor hearing it, and that's snickering a little bit and moving on with his day, and it turned into this.
You make a great point. All right, because I'm from Jersey.
Emails.
I lived there my whole life outside of 4 years.
Sorry.
And I can hey. beautiful state. It's a microcosm of America.
It's the
Yeah,
Garden
skiing,
State.
ocean, gardens, the
Can't
whole
make
thing.
a left-hand turn.
Can't make a left-hand turn. We have jug
Smog,
handles. You're going to make me
blue
lose my train of thought. Now I got to remember the question I was going to ask you. Where were we going
About
with this?
emails.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you watch The Sopranos. When did you ever see Tony Soprano writing an email?
He wouldn't
wouldn't
because
do it.
nothing to nothing to go back to have a trail of evidence go back to you.
Right.
So who would think about it? Hey, this is a good idea. Let's do that. Got it.
And it's just
you
so
don't think
stupid because he won with 61% of the vote. What do you care if this guy's going to endorse you or not?
I'm sure it
Right,
never occurred
exactly.
to any of them that it could be criminal. I bet it didn't enter their minds.
Well, that's
That's
the
our
whole
problem
thing
with
they
our
weren't
government.
thinking.
Our government doesn't see it like that.
Well, not the New Jersey government.
Yep.
Coming up next, tomorrow is the 4th anniversary, believe it or not, of something pretty big. Do you know what it is? Rick Sobriety? No. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax.